Tekashi 6ix9ine stopped by Breakfast Club. We're going to skim over this.
It's a little interesting.
But it was very interesting. So just to give you guys a brief overview. So he stopped up there and talked a lot about his beef with the game, a lot of the issues that he's had with different rappers, things of that nature. Go check out the interview because we're not going to really dive into this one that much. But I thought it was interesting hearing from his management and how they view him as an artist and how they view how they move, I guess, which was interesting to me. His manager seemed to articulate himself very, very well and had a good grasp of the climate, but he didn't really waver on, I guess, the dangers or possible dangers that Tekashi could be running into between different artists and people, wanting to put hands and feet on him. So, I mean, I don't know. This is a sticky situation. I've never heard anything about this kid. Like we were discussing earlier on, I don't really know much about him. He's 21 years old, and his first interview I've ever seen with him, you can definitely tell that he's young, even without knowing his age, and you can definitely see where he's got some growing to do. He's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. Hearing his upbringing, him talking about, just being Mexican and not people kind of writing him off. He talked about teachers, there's therapists, a whole bunch of other shit. So I thought this was a very, very interesting interview, I will say.
Yeah. I have a curious question. Do you feel like I'm going to talk about this on a deeper level, not even about, him having, these back and forth situations with other people on social media, but do you feel like, I guess it kind of ties back to our other conversation with Bow Wow. Do you feel like mental health and the lack of mental health and the lack of mental health support systems for young kids who are in low-income families or low-income areas or poor areas, do you think that could contribute to kind of like this situation where it's like they never really had an outlet to talk about certain things, so then they, one, don't really know how to express themselves in the right way and make him off a certain way? Because he did express himself, and I did think that it was some things that he said were kind of interesting in that interview for the Breakfast Club, but I also think maybe it's coming off a certain way that may rub people the wrong way. And two, is that why a lot of the young people are taking to social media to give off how they feel about certain things? Do you feel like the lack of like a therapist or a counselor or someone that they can talk to is contributing to these like ongoing social media beefs and stuff like that?
He said that. He said that in an interview, not obviously that in depth, but he said in the interview, I was deprived as a kid from certain things. He said, I am a product of my environment. So, I mean, that's really what it is. He's one of the people. He said he comes from the bottom of the bottom. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't have a good family, I guess, outlet or core outside of his team that he has now. But growing up, he was written off multiple times. So for him, that's why I can kind of understand him in a sense, just from this interview.
Yeah.
Because again, this is my first time. I don't know any of this kid's music. I know nothing about him.
Yeah.
But just looking at the interview, you can see that he has a chip on his shoulder. He feels a way about certain things. Yeah. He feels a way about shit.
So if people like him had access to therapy, access to counselors, access to even an individual that wouldn't write him off, how do you think that would impact hip hop? At least now, because there are a lot of artists that come from his situation that, especially the younger artists. So there's some younger artists that are beefing, all that stuff. So how do you think that would impact hip hop overall, or would it really?
I look at him just after doing this interview, or him doing the interview rather. I look at him like the Joker to Batman. Right? The reason I say that, outside of the color, his colorful hair, and all that shit, that makes no never mind. He is the crazy person, quote unquote crazy person in hip hop right now that you don't understand. You don't know him. You just see him acting out.
Hey, Blad, on Pyro, man, fuck 6ix9ine, Blad. Hey, Bled, you can't come to my city, Bled. You can't. Grown ass. Oh. Grown ass men marching the streets. Y'all be grown ass men. A little fucking kid got y'all niggas in y'all feelings, blood. But y'all not living like this, blood. Hey, Bled. Hey, Bled. Can't. On power. On. Hey, fuck 6ix9ine, Bled.
The reason I say correlation to Batman and Joker, because it's the same thing. A lot of people looked at Joker as being crazy, but there was logic to his reasoning. You know what I'm saying? His logic was, we're all villains. I just want to be a higher class of villain. I want to start moving shit. I want to make things happen for villains.
And also with Joker, he had something happen to him that turned him into what he is now.
Segue. Great point. I wonder, outside of everything else happening, his horrible upbringing, fucking therapists writing him off, all this other shit.
Yeah.
I wonder what changed this kid. Because I don't really think that he is necessarily a bad person.
Yeah.
I don't think that he may have some dickhead tendencies, but who doesn't?
Yeah.
I do wonder what happened to him that has him the way that he is now. Jumping from gang to gang, allegedly. Jumping from city to city with, 2-3 people, and you're fighting in airports. There's a lot going on with him. I would love to just pick his brain a little bit just from that aspect.
Well, when he's talking about how people are always writing him off and just the proud of his environment, I don't even think it's necessarily one thing that happened to him. I think it's just an accumulation of things just happening. It's kind of like a nail in wood. You keep hammering it, and you keep hammering it. Oh my gosh, get over it. I can say that.
I know, but...
Yo, you always say pause.
There's no one else to pause here.
Oh my God, say it to your head.
Pause.
You always... No. I'm sorry. Before I go back to something serious, he always paused me for things that women can say. I don't understand that.
There's no one else here. All right, forget it. Go ahead.
A woman can say, keep hammering.
Oh, my God.
Thank you.
Where's the flag on the play?
It goes back. You wear socks, don't you?
Nah.
Oh, you're not going to get that reference if you didn't listen to our last episode.
Word.
So go listen to it. All right. Going back. So it's kind of like a nail and a hammer tool. When you keep using the hammer tool to put the nail deeper into the wood. I see you're trying to say a pause. I'm going to make sure you don't. Eventually, it's going to get stuck. Yeah. It's going to get stuck in that material. It's going to get stuck in that position. He probably is constantly getting hit over the head by experiences, and it keeps him stuck in his ways.
Yeah.
So it takes it, and for him to get out of it, it's going to take maybe someone or something that just little by little is taking that nail out the wood. Mm-hmm. That actually was a really great reference. All right.
That was actually really good. I can't slander you. But just getting off that, I do hope that, I do hope that I don't want anything bad to happen to him.
I don't want anything bad to happen to anyone.
Yeah, I just do think, especially from his management, because his management just, that's the one thing that I'm so confused about is his management really, really articulated himself well. Like, I was surprised. And not to say that he can't have good representation, but him articulating the situations and talking about his artist and talking about the environment. Yeah. I was just thrown by it. So I wish them well, and I just think that they may need to reevaluate some things.
I just hope the situation doesn't blow up into something that's a little more serious, you know, because it has more. There's more people involved in this situation, like academics and a few others. So, I'm concerned. I really don't want to see anyone get hurt.
Well, that was the other thing too, is the mention of academics in the interview. Him saying that, oh yeah, that's my friend. We're cool.
Oh yeah.
And it's kind of like, you know how it is. Birds of a feather flock together, as do pigs and swine.
But then that's just oof.
So I mean, it gets sticky. It gets sticky. So I don't know, but I hope they all figure it out.